Yeah, hello sunshine. We're gonna get the old 460 out and the old Krone tedder out today. Do a little bit of tedding. I'm feeling a little bit outclassed. I want to show you why I say I'm outclassed. It's kind of amazing. A guy like this got enough money to burn a wet mule, and they still need my old junk to get them out of a bind. Actually, they need my know-how more than anything. As that one called me up and said, "What do you do in this?" And I'm like, "Well, this." "Well, can you do it?" "I guess." So here we go. Look out. She's a little rough out here. When the creek gets up, it's just, this road here is about 3 foot underwater. We're coming up on a low water crossing here. Two things to watch for. It's kind of pretty, kind of shady. And man, this old tractor just idles down so nice. It's rougher than a cob. We'll have her up there in road gear just idling. It probably looks fast to you guys, but I can't even hardly hear the engine. Hang on, she's rough. Oh, come on, keep hitting the lick. I don't want to yank it wide open, it'll fall on his face. Oh man, got a semi here in the way. We'll wait till we get around in before I go to jabbering too much. They'll think I'm crazy. But anyhow, it's supposed to be pretty mild, but I don't wear shorts. I got light breeches on. I don't wear shorts because last time I went out in the yard, I got in trouble with PETA. They come down there all fired up. They thought I was mistreating animals. They thought I was riding a chicken. Oh, just met a vehicle out. Let's get in and get you guys unfolded. You guys will notice this 2-point hitch. That's probably the best view you'll ever have of it. I can run that up over a windrow pretty good. Then we've got a flap here to keep that from dragging up the best we can, because that whole mechanism hangs down under the tractor about so far, and it'll kind of push straw off to both sides. But you guys remember the last video, if it's posted yet and edited yet, I was dragging up straw. Sometimes I'd have it packed from the front tires to the back tires, and I'd have to turn sharp, try to grab it with a back tire, just get over it. Boy, some of this hay just as wet as sop. It's gonna be on the side, you can't see it. Yeah, heck, you guys are on a magnet mount, I'll move it. Some of that stuff's just stuck to the head. Oh, got a phone call. Now I'll show you guys why I'm tedding this wheat. And this here, I've already been through it with the tedder. I'm awful slow going right here. This stuff is just wringing wet, and it's actually starting to mold. It's been laying there so long, and some of it, the tedder don't even want to pick it up. It starts riding up over it, and I'll have to back up and hit it again. We got a mess here. Okay, we're out here tedding away. We're in a small section of the next big field. I gotta watch exactly what I show here. I don't know if you guys can smell it or not. We're right next to a hog confinement operation. And they didn't say I couldn't video, but I didn't ask them. So I'm gonna just be cognizant of where I'm at and not show anything. And I don't think it'd be a problem anyhow. There's their second baler. Like I say, these boys here probably got enough money to turn the wet mule. Well, they may not have any money. They may all be in debt. I ain't trying to be judgmental. I'm just saying they're just a little bit different class of operation than I am. I know some of them, and I don't know this tractor, but I know some of them combine stakes. I was talking to Dad about that last night. They take, it takes 300 gallons of fuel to fuel one of them up. I said, you could fill that up for about 3 times. Maybe not 3 times. You fuel that thing up 3 times, and That's more than I gave for this tractor. But this is what I tedded the other day, and I'm re-tedding it because it got rained on. Well, guys, yeah, let's fold this thing down. We're on the bigger section of this field. Like I say, it's just a 60, 80 acre field, whatever it is. Tilt you guys down here a little bit. Oh, I'm still hooked on that side. We'll get the other side down too. We're going to throw in some straw. Talk to you guys here a minute. Grind me off a pound there, butcher. These tractors, they're bad about they're hard to get into gear. Pull the TA back and let the TA back forward. A lot of times they'll kind of reset it where you can get in there, but short of that, like I say, we're running low RPMs. You can see the old rain cap. Well, you probably can't. So here's where we're at. Chainsaw mufflers, right? We're out in the field, so what better time to think about and work with chainsaw mufflers? Well, we ain't got to work with them. We're going to talk about them, right? Now, we all know, or we've all learned, sonic wave has a lot to do with that, or everything to do with it, right? Sound wave. But my humble opinion, worth just what you paid for it, says that there's not room for sonic wave to work inside of that muffler can, something small, right? There ain't room for that sonic wave. I don't think that has any place in a chainsaw can, right? Now, I'm not saying you can't tune it, but your big tune pipes that go into a cone, into a chamber, into a reflector, out the stinger, each one of those sizes and volumes is critical to an RPM, right? I mean, they're designed for an RPM. And I think the same thing's going to happen on a can type muffler or a small pipe. And where we're going to talk about is like the iron horse pipe and a can, because I like the iron horse pipe. I love it. It's got good pull. Sometimes you lose some RPMs on it, or I've seen like on Dino Joe, he lost RPMs but gained a lot of torque, right? Flattened out the torque way out there, which would make somebody believe if they didn't have a dyno, probably edit that out. If they don't have a dyno, they are going to think that that saw is more powerful just because it runs better. It's easier to operate, right? Well, that's good. But how do you tune it? Number one, how does an iron horse pipe work? Now I'm gonna side jump just a minute because we're out in the hayfield and our mind just wanders, right? I'm gonna sidetrack just a minute and remind you, when we was doing some muffler mods, and we'll get back to muffler mods on this 026, but when we were doing muffler mods, and they're on a playlist down there for everybody that's new, if you're interested in it, we were testing out different cans, and I finally settled on a reduced volume, but the very first can I tried was the can with the baffle in it, right? And then I cut that baffle out, and just to let you know, I've got another can with a baffle in it. I cut the baffle out, and we lost horsepower. Everybody thinks, man, we'll get rid of that restriction, and we'll gain horsepower. Nope, we gain horsepower and heat both. I think I know why. And I think it also ties into why an iron horse pipe works. Guys, I don't know. I don't know hardly any answers. All I do is kind of collect a little bit of evidence as I could find it, and try to correlate it into something that all makes sense. Try to figure out how one piece associates with another. Try to put the puzzle together. Boy, I'm rattling around over there like a fruit jar full of marbles. I'm trying to see what I'm doing. And it may just be the rattling of the rough field. But anyhow, so how does an iron horse pipe work? All right. we got a pipe coming out, right? And if you want to see, let me grab a half a gear down, and then I looked back and didn't see you guys. My heart just sunk again. The only good thing is I got you guys right in the middle. If you don't hit a tying arm on the way down, you should land right in the middle of the hayfield if you fall off, or right in the middle of two windrows if you fall off. So, how's an iron horse pipe work? Well, if you want to see how to build it, I'd recommend going to his channel. It's his pipe, and I'm not trying to steal his thunder and drop his name, but that's what everybody in the world knows him as, iron horse pipe. And he's got some videos on how to build them. I figure I'd give you guys a better view right quick of what we're doing. I tedded this the other day. Now, this windrow over here hasn't been tedded out, and that's just mashed down like wet hair. It's been rained on twice. It's out of a 45-foot draper head of wheat. This here got tedded out. There's a ditch on a hillside. It's got an 8-inch deep ditch on a hillside. I ain't figured that out yet, but I don't know everything there is to know. And what I'm doing is I'm running back down this because it's been rained on again, and this tedder spread it out. Hang on, I'll turn you around. This tedder is spreading that out into two separate windrows, and like whenever I'm baling, with a square baler, and I'm going to get out here in the open, I'm going to hit another windrow. Yeah, so we're back into the big windrows that we ain't tedded yet. So there's a lot of material here. Hopefully we don't drag up bad there. So anyhow, we're talking about these mufflers, right? And I wish I knew where I was at. I've thought about this so many times. I know where I'm at in my thoughts, but I don't know where I was at talking to you guys before I keep her between the ditches, Lucille. I don't know where I was at talking to you, so I'm going to go start in the middle and all over or whatever. But now, you guys remember the muffler that had the ditch. Hang on. You guys remember the stock can for a 260? An 026 was an empty can, but a 260 had a baffle in it, right? And you guys know how them baffles are shaped. They're kind of square, they go up, they got a flat top, and they got holes out to the side, right? And then that opens up into the bigger part of the can. Think about that as two cans in, or two chambers, if you will. That first part is one size, and then you basically got your Play-Doh factory. It squirts the stuff out the holes the other on the sides, right? Boy, there's a clump. There's another clump. You kind of got the Play-Doh factory thing going on, right? Well, ditch. Squeezing out exhaust out them holes. Now it probably don't want to go back in there too fast. We can agree on that, right? And it needs to go out the exhaust port. And we've always, all of us, we see a can, first thing we want to do is rip that apart and get that baffle out of there, right? So that air can get out, which is a good thing because we're trying to get heat out. We all agree with that, right? Next thing we do is we bigger up the outlet hole so that can get out. I think we might be messing up on them cans just a little bit. Not bad, mind you, but a little bit. We'll get going down the row instead of across it. Now, where I say we might be messing up, if you want to call it that, is I noticed we had more horsepower with a baffle, which baffled me, right? The next thing I noticed I had more horsepower was with the reduced volume can, right? Well, that's getting me to thinking. And I'm satisfied, just as sure as I'm a foot tall, that if I was to build an iron horse pipe for this, and I haven't yet, but I probably will at some point. I'm satisfied if I was to build an iron horse pipe for this, we get even more horsepower yet. Hang on. All right. I was satisfied if we build an iron horse pipe for this. Son of a gun, how many times am I gonna say that? We're gonna get more horsepower yet. All right. Now what's that? What's one commonality? We keep decreasing volume every time. Ditch. Seems like every time we decrease volume in this can muffler that we gain horsepower. I think we got that figured out, at least in my mind. We're not dealing with sonic waves. We are just not. I think I'm throttled up just a little bit too high. That's better. We are not dealing with sonic waves. We are dealing with air cushion. Air's, well, I don't know what you want to say it. It's almost elastic in a way that, yeah, we could be moving here, but we'll get a high pressure point here, and it's kind of bouncy, right? It'll spring back on us. That wasn't splitting that windrow very good. So how's an iron horse pipe work? Well, that comes right out of your exhaust and runs down a tube, right? So far. And then a certain distance from that tube, you got an outlet that runs off to the side. That exhaust goes out of there, gets faster than diarrhea out that, right? Right down that tube, and it ain't very long, so it ain't taking it no time to get there. Ditch. And Iron Horse has always told us the length of that pipe is critical. The length, the center pipe. He's always told us the stinger coming out to the side. He gave us some measurements he liked to have, but basically, I don't think you can get it too long if you got it the right side. We can use more there than usually what the bar will let us have by the time we're out in the bar. And he also gave measurement. He also gave a measurement how far from that end wall at the end of the pipe, how far back you needed to come for that pipe to come off to the side, that distance there, right? And don't get me wrong, I'm not picking at what he said. He's telling you how to build it for a 70cc, I think 372, right? I'm trying to take what he's telling me and make that head a 50cc tall, or a 90cc tall, or a 40cc tall. All right. So this reduced volume thing, what it's doing in my mind is limiting how much pressurized gas I got out here at one time that's going to try to get back into the cylinder when the exhaust is still open and the transfers are still open, right? You got just a little bit of time there for that to work. And you don't want it really working until your piston's already on its way back up. You've already expended all your exhaust. Now, let's not get off in the weeds. But anyhow, it's not very much pressure, or it's not very much volume that you're trying to cram back in there. It doesn't take a lot of intake charge to cram it back in there hard, right? All right. A reduced volume can, an iron horse muffler, and a baffled muffler. I think they're all doing the same thing, and we've seen horsepower increases on all those over an empty can. So, what are we doing wrong? What have all the manufacturers figured out with that baffle? They figured out they're going to reduce, by the time the exhaust is out, it's pretty well cleared that baffle, right? Let's say. It's pretty well cleared that baffle. by that I mean evacuated it. And the pressure's coming down on that baffle, right? And then part of your intake charge is following that out on proper tuned stuff. That's what you want. You want that intake charge going out into that muffler, and then you want a rebound to put that back in there, right? Well, that's how an iron horse pipe works. But the critical measurements on that is going to be the volume of that long tube. So, I think the volume of that pipe may be the least critical of them all, maybe. I think the most critical ditch is going to be the distance between the end of that pipe and the discharge pipe, right? I'm just going to call it discharge pipe. And the reason I say that, now I want you to picture, I'm going to tell you how I picture an iron horse pipe working, okay? And why it works. We got a big tube with a kicker coming off of it, a discharge tube, an inch back, let's say, right? All right, that soft fires, the first bit of exhaust fills that whole tube up, right? It's straight, that's where it wants to go. Now, just as soon as that tube is compressed, the whole tube is compressed, the next thing it does is it starts directing that air out the side. Now, how I'm going to picture this in my head is that from the discharge tube on the side to the end, that 1 inch, let's just pretend that air never even moved because it filled that up, it made a wall, and now that air is turning, right? Okay, so we're finishing the exhaust. We've got the end of that tube filled, so all our exhaust is running out the side tube now, right? Well, as soon as that's all evacuated, as a matter of fact, the length of that side tube is going to be important because it can create a scavenging effect behind it, right? So that compressed air at the very end, it's still sitting there, it's taking a nap. It's waiting to go to work. It hit the snooze alarm. It got up in there and hit the snooze alarm. All right, now it's still sitting there. Our exhaust is going out. Our tube length on the discharge on the exhaust is just right, and it's pulling a vacuum. It was pressured up just a second ago, but now that tube air is pulling a siphon, pulling a vacuum right behind it. So it finishes evacuating that tube all the way up to that pressure part. So it evacuated that cylinder, and at the same time, that snooze alarm we just hit a while ago, it woke up at that lazy charge that's up there in that 1 inch area, right? There's a spring, there's an air spring up there. You guys are bouncing around a little bit. I can readjust you here in a bit, but hopefully it was slow and steady. Sorry. So that air charge, that air spring we'll call it, there's a little spring up there, getting ready to spring. So when that exhaust finishes clearing out, pulls just a little bit of vacuum behind it, and actually has intake charge combustion, or it has fuel air mixture inside that tube now, in between the discharge and the cylinder, right? As a matter of fact, unlike a can muffler, it didn't get all mixed in. It's going down the hallway. It's only so wide, right? It don't get mixed up so bad. It's almost, man, that's stout. We better drop the gear here. It's wet and heavy. So, where was we at? The stinger coming off to the side was actually pulling a little bit of a vacuum. It helped that transfer charge, fuel air. It's into that iron horse pipe. And there at some point it's mixed, but what's coming out ain't really mixed that bad. Let's just let's just argue that, or not argue that for a minute. Let me have that. All right, now, if you get that length time just right, on both of them, on the discharge side, or on the air spring, we'll call it, if we got just the right amount of air spring, so that's how far back the discharge pipe is, when he wakes up and starts headed down the hall back towards the exhaust, because that's where he wants to go, it's a straight shot, he's going to run that intake charge right back in that cylinder. So I think we're going to do away with all the Coca-Cola songs and the symphonies, and we're still going to have us a symphony, but it ain't going to be based on sound waves or sonic waves. It's going to be based on air cushion, air movement, and I think that's the secret to the iron horse pipe, and I think we're going to build one. And what I'd like to do, I don't know if I can machine it down good enough for a fit or not. I'd like to have a tube inside a tube, almost like a trombone. I might be able to lengthen this or shorten that and do another dyno run. Lengthen this or shorten that and do another dyno run. And for two reasons. I would like to find, at least on this saw, what the ratio, what the best ratio is, or at least the best one I can find. And I might be able to apply that to other mufflers. I got some ideas for some can mufflers that I hope will rival the iron horse muffler. I don't know if it's possible, but I'm just saying that's what I've got in my head. So, guys, wrap your head around that. Tell me what you think. Tell me also what you think about driving around out here on half-mile through, sitting on the fender. Well, don't tell me that, especially you OSHA guys. My Fruit of the Looms, if I sit there too long, Fruit of the Looms get soggy. If I stand here on this, I got to sit down every once in a while to give my feet a rest. They get hot standing, these old steel-toe boots, and my Fruit of the Looms get soggy. So it's either give my feet a rest or give my butt a rest, just every little bit. And on a half-mile through, yeah, what do you do? But anyhow, tell me what you think about doing a little bit of chainsaw talk here and there in these videos. I like that for a couple reasons that I won't even necessarily get into. Put it this way, it's something I want to do. So you guys tell me what you think about it. Guys, if I earned it, I'm probably going to shut you off here. I'm going to be out here for about 12 hours a day. So I'm going to leave you with what I always say. If I earned her, give her a thumbs up. If I didn't, give her the old thumbs down. Either Hitchhiker or Julius Caesar. Consider subscribing if you haven't. And there's been some new commenters down there in the comment section. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't remember every name, and I can't recall one. It seems like so-and-so did this, so-and-so did that. But I'm not calling, if you comment down there and I comment like, hey, boy, this is the first time I remember you commenting, don't feel like I'm calling you out. I'm noticing, I pretty well notice new stuff, and if I see a comment that I don't recognize, a commenter as the first time, don't be surprised if you don't get a, hey, welcome, I'm glad you're here kind of thing, because two things, I'm glad you're here, and you're welcome. You're welcome here all the time. So, and all the other guys, if you see somebody new jumping in, you might also welcome them down there. I know, like old Fab's Black Cat and Kevin L. and Archer, them guys get some pretty good conversations going on between the three of them, and I kind of get feeling left out because I ain't smart enough to hang with them guys sometimes. Them some pretty smart guys, and they'll go to jabbering about this and that, and I let them know I seen their comment, but just carry on, boys. I'm glad we've got an environment here where we can do that. So guys, jump in the comments, hit the subscribe if you want to consider it. If you're part of OSHA, I don't know what to tell you. This is just how I farm. Guys, appreciate her.